Hello everybody, welcome to the next installment of the Rogue Bakers Roundtable here with Sourdough Made Easy. Today, we've got a fantastic video for you showing you what should you do when you get monstrous zucchini that goes nuts in your garden. I think anybody that has grown zucchini knows that these aren't the best for eating as far as chopping up and putting in a pan and frying, or like my grandma used to do with her breaded fried zucchini. But one thing that you can do is turn it into a delicious pineapple zucchini bread, of course, using yet another one of Grandma Roundy's recipes from the Roundy family cookbook. We just posted, this is actually not zucchini bread, this is banana bread. We just posted a video a couple days ago, or was that last night? Last night, about a long-fermented banana blueberry nut bread that we made. I'm going to pass this off to my wife and beg her to cut me a piece of that because I want to have some of that right now. When I went over and borrowed a tool from a friend last night to finish working on my addition in the garage. And when I showed up at his house, he had a whole bunch of produce from his garden, one of which was this massive zucchini. And so I thought, why not? Because I figure everybody who has a garden right now is blowing out their ears with zucchini. I figured, why not have another one of Grandma Roundy's recipes for today's Rogue Baker Roundtable. So what we've done, rather than showing you the slow process of putting it all together, I'm going to show you here the what is this called? The recipe that my grandma used to do. So I'm holding that up to the camera. You can take a screenshot of it if you want. But the ingredients that she got here: 3 eggs, a cup of oil. We replaced butter for the oil. 2 cups of sugar, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, 2 cups of shredded zucchini. That's what you see here was me shredding this zucchini last night so that it could long ferment all night. 1 can, 8.5 ounce can of crushed and drained pineapple, 3 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of baking powder. She spelled it wrong, so it's cow weeder here. It's kind of funny. 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon, 3/4 teaspoons of nutmeg, and this calls for a cup of nuts. I did half a cup of nuts because only my wife and I like nuts, so we make a loaf for us and a loaf for the kids. And then I went ahead and took the creative license to add roughly 3/4 of a cup of white chocolate and 3/4 of a cup of milk chocolate chips to it. And then what I did in hopes of being able to take it out of the oven on tonight's call is I prepped it last night. So last night was when I grated up this zucchini, and I'm going to tell you now the ingredients that I added to the what I would call pre-ferments, the stuff that I wanted to have ferment. Now, the reason that we go with a fermented pineapple zucchini bread instead of just my grandma's old recipe is that my wife and my daughter are gluten intolerant. So if you have any kind of gluten sensitivities or intolerances, I'm not talking celiac, right? I'm not giving you medical advice.
Allergies.
Right. But if you just have issues like my wife and daughter do, or if they don't eat gluten that has been fermented or broken down by the fermentation process, then it causes all sorts of bloating and headaches and migraines and issues that they just steer clear of. And so in order to make this something that my wife and daughter can do, we take old family recipes and we ferment them with a long fermentation by adding our sourdough starter to it. And so what I did last night was I took the 1 cup of butter, I took the vanilla, I took the shredded zucchini, I took the 3 cups of flour, I took the cinnamon and the nutmeg, and I added all of those to the bowl, and then I stirred it up. And in a second here, my son, our geek squad over there who produces and runs these, is going to have the video ready. Is it ready yet? No? Yes, it's ready? Okay, he's going to play a video for you, which is part of a video that will be coming out showing you this in a more succinct, just boom, 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 done pattern. But it's playing on the screen now. Put it on the big screen, yeah? It's got enough moisture, hopefully, we'll see tomorrow, to spread out and long ferment. He's looking at one cup there. Deer in the headlights, look. That's about okay. So on the big screen, you should now see the process that I went through last night. Grate up the zucchini, 2 cups of shredded. It says here zucchini. Used a cheese grater to shred that up, and then I took the butter and put that in there, and then I took the vanilla and the nutmeg and the cinnamon and the flour and put all of that in there, and then mix that up. And then at the end of you watching me mix all of that up, you're going to see the time lapse. So last night, it was about, I think 1 or 2 in the morning when I finally went to bed, I was putting this together. And you got a time lapse that goes from last night to about an hour ago, when we then took that starter and added the remainder of the ingredients to it, being the sugar and the eggs. So one of the things that, kind of why the thinking through of why I do which ingredients I pick and why. The main thing that we need to worry about in our household is to make sure that flour gets fermented. So what I'm trying to do when I come up with recipes like these, or take recipes like these, is I'm trying to make sure there's enough liquid in the initial process with the flour. So I put a cup of sourdough starter in with the 3 cups of flour, and then I put the shredded zucchini in there. You might, if you were making this normally, you might want to wring out the shredded zucchini and get as much of the liquid out as possible. But it was the opposite for me. I was counting on the water from inside this zucchini to go into the mix in order to give it, because unlike when you're making a traditional loaf of sourdough bread, or like our cheddar everything loaf or whatever, when you're making that dough, you're adding water to it in order for the flour to get wet enough to then start to ferment. So between the water that is in the sourdough starter and the water that was in this zucchini was enough, as you saw, to flour get wet and ferment all night long. Good. Me, discarding is silly. Why would you discard when you can do everything cold hungry straight from the fridge? So, I didn't put the egg in and the egg out. It might be that to me, that's great. Whatever. You go in there and I don't think the egg out would add enough. Would add some more liquid or whatever to the recipe to get it better. It didn't something like we did the other day. And same time, the liquid from the bananas goes to look at that. And so I would add the pineapple again as another source of liquid last night.
Like
but I have the right now when I have this store crushed pineapples on the way home from picking the kids up from school today. So the crushed pineapple would have gone into the recipe last night, but I didn't have it. So it went in today, and it's all worked out perfect. It's worked out great. And then what else? We don't like adding the baking soda or the baking powder because we don't want the reaction to take place while it's fermenting and then go flat. We want the reaction to take place right when you're putting it in the oven so that it rises up in the oven And now
and
we're
bakes
just a
up
few
real
minutes
nice. So
before
hold those
starting
back.
our,
And the sugar
Rogue
I didn't
Bakers
put in last
Roundtable
night
live stream where
because
we're
I
gonna
didn't
showcase
want,
this, take it out of the oven.
in
So
my
if
mind,
you
if
haven't
you put
seen
the
that,
sugar
make sure to
in
check out the
with the
lives on our channel,
flour,
and you can
then
watch
it's like
that.
trying to give, or you're giving choices of what that starter culture is going to feast on. And in my opinion, I don't want it eating all the sugar. I want it eating and breaking down and fermenting the flour. So we hold the sugar back and put the sugar in after the fact as well.
Plus, from experience, the sugar makes it ferment faster.
Right. And it's sour by, giving so much of a sugar rush to all that sourdough starter culture. That was the process of taking Grandma's pineapple zucchini recipe and long fermenting it. We now have this. I don't know, it might go all over the sides. I'm going to show you that in the oven here.
Ooh.
That looks good, huh?
Oh, it smells so good too. Holy cow.
All right, so it's now baking in there. It was my hope to have this started soon enough that we can be taken out of the oven on the live stream, but a lot is going to depend on those of you who are watching this live, because I don't want to sit here for the next 45 minutes staring at the camera just those to the Rogue Bakers all every single year what else have we done on live streams? Lots of different things. The core you've been making if you've been both of them.
Do we know what?
Here. Yeah, we're rocking this. If you can even hear me, given the technical difficulties that we're having, feel free to type your questions or comments, successes, failures, things that you've done this past week, so we can celebrate with you and or help you if you're happy. Then if we make delicious zucchini bread on this call, there's only 4 of you. I can't imagine 4 of you take up enough time for this to happen. You know what that tells me? I'm glad I recorded that earlier.
Okay, so I went off, seemed like everything went smooth. From on the way, and I got choppy again. It was coincidence. Maybe me. It's enough to
up. Anybody here that cares about give up? It's delicious. I haven't watched that video yet. This video on our YouTube is Grandma's book. Fantastic. Comments coming in. All right. Oh, we're going to about this. So we're going to technical difficulties anyway. If you can hear me, and you're not in our Rogue Bakers or Sourdough, jump there. We'll finish.
And the
Post your subscriber, you get notification of our posts. And otherwise, any questions, need any help to recipes that we've been coming up with, we'll post those kinds of and we will answer them. With that, we'll show off. And next, everybody.